Welcome, reconsider. So today I want to talk about the weaponization of words and the subversion of language. But before we sort of get to that, I just want to introduce this YouTube channel. Welcome. If you'd like to subscribe, obviously you can do that below. But also we have the kind of the Reconsider website as well, which is reconsider.news, and that's updated on a daily basis. And the YouTube channel generally is updated on a weekly basis. At the moment, financially, we're supporting the whole thing ourselves. So if you are able to donate, that would be absolutely amazing and beautiful. And you can find the links below this video for Patreon, which is a monthly subscription service. Or there's kind of PayPal, which is one-off donation. And those same links can also be found on the reconsider.news website as well. So back to the topic. So weaponization of words and the subversion of language. I think people would be shocked about how much that security covert kind of operations actually sort of think about the use of language to potentially subvert the truth and ridicule particular subjects. And it a lot of the time benefits secrecy to do with technology or by the nature of reality, but then also, the elite circles as well, it kind of benefits them. So language is really effective and how they've sort of been able to kind of hijack particular words. And one of the main words obviously is conspiracy theory. And what's fascinating is that actually there is documentation out there which details the CIA creating this phrase to particularly, as a weaponized phrase to ridicule subjects. And if you go to the Zero Hedge website, there's a really interesting article, and there's a particular snippet in the article, and it says, specifically in April 1967, the CIA wrote a dispatch which coined the term conspiracy theories and recommended methods for discrediting such theories. The dispatch was marked Psych, short for Psychological Operations or Disinformation, and CS for the CIA's Clandestine Services Unit. So this details specifically all the way back in the 60s how the birth of the phrase conspiracy theory, so where it started, where it came from. Now that phrase has been used ever since, and very effectively whenever it's used directed towards concept, ideas, or a person, people immediately treat it with skepticism and generally kind of laugh about it. So it's been very effective and is used constantly in the mainstream media. And I mean, you got to look around the current sort of climate as well at the moment, and what other phrases potentially have been engineered. And one kind of sprang to mind was fake news. And it came out of nowhere, really. And I've been trying to find its origin. So potentially, maybe that was created in covert circles, and with the rise of alternative media and people's awakening about sort of mainstream media is very much controlled either by corporate circles or by security services or government. So it's very hard to access kind of untainted information. And so this is where the rise of alternative media has kind of sprung from, and why people are increasingly sort of reverting to alternative media, and how the creation of fake news has been very convenient because it allows them to sort of tar particular stories or agencies as being fake. So it's quite comical how this phrase has been sort of created now. But in a lot of ways, it's backfired because fake news is being thrown back at mainstream media quite frequently as well. So maybe the whole thing has been a bit of a false start for them, really. And then we can kind of move on to other words like aliens and how that is used. And again, the negative connotation, the baggage that come with it. The term aliens, it kind of harbors ideas of sort of horror, haunted, sort of grey extraterrestrials. And true, yeah, maybe sort of certain entities out there that do look like that. But there are, in my view, a lot of benign, very friendly entities. And that word aliens in a lot of ways is quite derogatory, And it's even used, on Earth in human circles with humanity. People are tarred as being alien, say if they've been left their country due to war or famine, and they're moved into a developed country and they're tarred as being an alien. Again, it's got a very negative connotation with it. And there are a lot of people in the UFO community, truth community, who would prefer not to use alien and maybe use extraterrestrial, again, because it's just more of a positive sounding word. And again, alien potentially is being overused by security services to make the whole subject of UFOs and extraterrestrials a scary subject, and alien kind of aids that. And then UFO itself, that was created in 1953 by the US Air Force. And I mean, now that phrase has been around since like for 60 years. And again, so much baggage comes with it, and so much ridicule, because a lot of people, especially people who particularly only take their information from the mainstream and don't read outside of that, if they see the word UFO, they generally chuckle about it and they don't take it seriously. So it's been very effective. And so in some ways, maybe it's time to kind of move away from those words. And this got me thinking. I went to go and see a talk by Nick Pope. Now, he is a former UFO investigator who worked for the Ministry of Defence in the UK, and it was only a 3-4 year posting. But now he sort of does a lot of talks around the world to do with kind of UFOs and the knowledge he has. And he seems to think that it is time to change the word UFO. And he came up with the phrase UAP, which stands for Unexplained Aerial Phenomenon. Now, he told a really interesting story about how he was invited to America by, controversially, John Podesta during the Hillary Clinton sort of latest presidential campaign. Now, John Podesta was particularly interested in the sort of UFO sort of subject along with Hillary Clinton, and he invited Nick Pope over. And Nick Pope at the time said, oh, maybe it's time to change the word UFO to UAP. Now, shortly after that, Hillary Clinton appeared on Jimmy Kimmel, which is a US talk show, and she actually said that they were interested, the new word for UFO is UAP. And Nick Pope, sort of with a certain amount of proudness, sort of said, oh, that was a phrase that I created. And obviously, although they're quite controversial figures in their own right, Hillary Clinton and John Podesta, it does show a willingness to maybe change the argument, try and change the language that is used so it's less ridiculed. And that's what Nick Pope says. It helps reframe the argument. And, I think that's important. I mean, even if you then look at the community itself that we all inhabit, there's kind of ufology, there's esoteric, there's new age, there's the alternative, there's metaphysics. I mean, the phrase that I particularly like is truth community, because, obviously it's a broad church, and you may have people that are particularly interested in sort of secret societies, some people that are interested in kind of UFOs and the nuts and bolts kind of alien story, or people that are really interested in sort of suppressed ideas to do with consciousness. I think truth community kind of encompasses all of those, and it's positive, and then also it just shows us that we're seeking enlightenment and for the full fat truth. So it's the one that I quite like to use, because obviously things like ufology and esoteric, again, kind of comes with a certain amount of baggage. People involved in the truth community generally sort of, I perceive as being quite open-minded to sort of new information, but that kind of stance a lot of the time in the mainstream is kind of ridiculed, and you're tarred as being gullible, and you're sort of shot down as being fake and sort of ditzy. And even with the kind of the Nazca mummy videos I've been releasing, I've had a few comments about, oh, it's fake, you're so gullible to kind of follow it. And I was like, no, but if you actually watch the content, see the videos, the information looks quite interesting. And yeah, you've got to be quite cautious, but at the same time, you shouldn't discount the information that is there. You have to always be open-minded. And I kind of really disagree with sort of that proudness of being a skeptic, because to me it's like a certain religion where you sort of a staunch position you never move from, regardless whether the new information sort of appears about to sort of change your opinion about a particular theory. And there are people with this kind of skeptical view have a view that all institutions such as kind of government, sort of military, security services and news, they don't lie. They're all wearing halos on their heads, and they're completely truthful. But if you really research into this, and through my own research, you just actually a lot of the time it's completely the opposite. They lie all the time, and they lie to benefit secrecy. They lie to benefit positions of power, and they lie to benefit the elite, especially kind of news. That's where you're supposed to have unbiased opinion, unbiased news. That it's the search for truth and for freedom, and actual fact that's being co-opted, as being controlled. And which is why you have this sort of the rise of sort of alternative media. So, yeah, language is important. So your words are important, and the way we use it. And I think Nick Pope is really right in reframing the argument with kind of UFOs and moving away from that. It helps us to look at things with fresh eyes, especially people where this kind of material is maybe new to them. But then also I think it's important to be really careful, because current situation now is that maybe you have a scenario where political correctness has gone too far the other way, where certain words or phrases or kind of conversation topics have become sort of publicly frowned upon. So that brings its own sort of level of control and its own level of suppression. So it is a really fine line, being able to express yourself freely and trying to reframe the argument again, so that you've got to be mindful of that. Anyway, I've said way too many words, and yeah, thank you very much for joining me. It's something I always kind of think about, that kind of use of language and how it's used to kind of control and suppress. Quite a simple thing, but quite important. So yeah, thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye.